Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Halloween meeting of the Little Rock Touchdown Club. As you see, I come masquerading as David Basil today. That's what I dressed up for as Halloween. I can't quite pull it off. I was a little intimidated to sit in the Basil seat, so ask RJ to do that. You know, David didn't give me much notice. I didn't know I was doing this till yesterday, or else I would have gone and had my teeth whitened and gone to the tanning booth if I knew I was coming as Basil today. But, you know, whatever. You know, the main thing I'd do if I was really Basil is I would forget to call on Gary Underwood to say the invocation. But I won't. So Gary Underwood will say our prayer. Gary?
Thank you, Rex. I was going to pray for Rex, but I think I better pray for us. Let's all pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the great blessings you provide to us in life, the way you meet every need. And Lord, we just ask you to use us as your tool today in every way possible. We thank you for the opportunity to gather together. Thank you for the food. Use it to give us strength so we can serve you better. In your name we pray. Amen.
In case you're wondering, David is not sick. He is... Now, I could not make this up. This is true. He is appearing in a movie today. He is being filmed. It's a movie being filmed here in Little Rock called Antiquities. Since he's 50 now, I guess he's in antiquity. He's over 50. But, and again, I can't make this up. If you look at the script of the movie, his character that he is being filmed as today is the ripped, tanned UPS delivery man. So... True. So hopefully that does not hit the cutting room floor, and when Antiquities come out, we will be able to see the ripped tan UPS delivery man. Maybe he will tell us about it next week. Now, speaking of next week, Kenny Hamlin, who we had listed, had a conflict. He is not going to be here, but we are going to have two former University of Arkansas greats, All-American defensive lineman Jimmy Walker and All-Southwest Conference quarterback Ron Calcagni. They will be talking about the rest of the Little Rock season. So Jimmy Walker and Ron Calcagni next Monday. You'll want to put that down. Now, in 2 weeks, we talk about our awards every week. We will be presenting the James Street Sportsmanship Award. We will honor 14 outstanding student athletes from Little Rock High School football programs. Let's be here to support those young men. The Texas Athletic Director, Mike Perrin, will be speaking. I'm sure the media will be here for that with a lot of questions. Charlie got a big win over previously undefeated Baylor on Saturday, though, but a lot of questions surrounding the Texas athletic program. But we do want a big crowd for that. So that's 2 weeks from today, the James Street Sportsmanship Award. And I will remind you, hopefully you got that combined membership and you're a member of the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. Today is the deadline. If you have not voted on the new induction class yet, our own Jim Rasco and Wally Hall are both up. So if you haven't voted, please do and support them today. We would appreciate that. Now, RJ is not here just to be a pretty face. That's a big part of it. But we have got a new, really neat phone app. And, RJ, if you'll come forward and tell them a little bit about it now, that would be great.
Thank you, Rex. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been trying to make it easier for everybody to buy tickets and buy memberships to the Little Rock Touchdown Club. That time has come now. All you have to do is go, if you've got an iPhone or an Apple device, you can take your phone out right now. We always encourage folks not to take their phone out during the meeting, but today you can take your phone out and go to the Apple Store or to the Google Play Store and download the brand new Little Rock Touchdown Club app. With that, you can see, you can purchase tickets, you can buy memberships, and you will also be able to see the live video feed. So if you can't come to the meeting, you can click on the third tab, and it says news right now, but we just got it changed. And you'll be able to see the live video feed. So everything that happens here, you'll be able to watch it on your phone. It's a free app, and we encourage everybody to download that app now, and you'll get notifications. So you can turn that off, but you'll get notifications. So if there's a reminder of something we have going on, it'll be pushed to your phone, so you can have that. So we encourage everybody to go out and buy, or to get that app. It's a free app, and it's available on Android and iPhone. So thanks so much.
Thanks, RJ. I bet we are the most technologically advanced football club in America. I know we're already the best, so we take that to a new level, and we appreciate that. Also pleased to have up at our head table with our usual cast today, Scott Inman. Scott, thank you for joining us today. As you know, when Scott left KATV, he did continue, thankfully, being part of the broadcast team for the Razorback Sports Network. You can hear him the pregame show, the postgame show again. And happy to say, guys, that starts 3 hours before every game with the Simmons Bank Tailgate Show. So, Scott, thank you for joining us today. In fact, we also have with us today Christina Munoz, who does communications for UCA. So we could have a KATV newscast here today. We got the old anchor crew together. Let's give them a hand for being here. And we thank our sponsors, as always, Twin City Limousine, who make sure our speakers always travel in style. Greg Hatcher, the owner, general manager, Dale Bennett. CJRW, who helps us promote our awards each year. They do an outstanding job in getting the word out on that and making this, again, the top club of its type in the country. The Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau, proud to be here in Little Rock. They do such a great job. I do hope you saw the high-profile cover story on Gretchen Hall that was in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette yesterday, their CEO. That was an excellent story. 103.7 The Buzz, who's always right out front broadcasting and gives us so much good publicity. Justin, Pat, always out there. Of course, RJ here. David associated with them. Steve Johnson and his crew do a wonderful job promoting all sports in Arkansas, and we appreciate them. Also, War Memorial Stadium. Kevin Crass, chairman of the Stadium Commission there. Jerry Cohn, their general manager. We are delighted to have them. You saw the big news last week that that's going to become, if the legislature approves, part of the Arkansas Department of Parks and Tourism. And I think making that a state park will really help ensure that War Memorial Stadium will remain a great facility going forward. And please, as you know, we honor high school players every week. Mark down those first 2 weekends in December. Those are the state championship games out at War Memorial. Always fun weekends. You have a Friday night game. You'll have 2 Saturday games. I always try to attend all 6 of those games, so you want to make sure and mark that down. Also, one of our sponsors, Epic Health. Epic does our Civil Servant of the Week each week. And today we have Sergeant First Class Mike Webb. His son is with him, Brandon, I believe it is. Sergeant Webb, would you stand up? He runs the armory over at Conway. He's the Readiness NCO. Facilitates training for National Guard members. We are pleased to have you, and Epic is pleased to honor you today as our Civil Servant of the Week. Other sponsors include the Pulaski County Farm Bureau. Thanks to them. Wendy's. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Judy Hendry has done such a great job with us the last 4 years now on the Cliff Harris Award. Crane Automotive, Larry Crane, Chris Crane, Drew Dees, largest family-owned automotive dealership in Arkansas. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Wally Hall, Amanda Copley, wonderful job. All you have to do, I tell people, is travel to other cities, and you realize that we have one of the best sports sections in America in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, so thanks to them. And our presenting sponsor and my employer, Simmons Bank. A number of Simmons people always here. A number of Conway dignitaries are our guests today, but we, as usual, have Adam Mitchell and Chris White at the head table. So, gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Simmons, again, the presenting sponsor of the Little Rock Touchdown Club. So let's give all of these sponsors a hand for what they do for us. And there are all the people behind the scenes who help out, our staff here at the Embassy Suites Hotel. Matt Johnson with Fidelity Local 6, who handles all of our AV. We're streaming live. Anybody wants to watch this every Monday, anywhere in the world, you can tell them they can go and get the live stream. Dwayne Duncan, who literally shoots thousands of photos every season here. You already heard from RJ of Hawk Media Solutions, who handles our Facebook page, our Twitter account, our website, working on this new app now. Great job. As always, our check-in ladies, the best in the business, and our executive director, Debbie Wyman, who continues to do a marvelous job. Let's give all them a hand also. All right, we have 2 All-Arkansas Preps players this week, as sponsored by the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. And so let's introduce them. I'm going to do them one at a time and ask them to come up. We're going to start with our honoree for the game played on October 14th. North Little Rock senior running back Alex Day. He rushed for, get this, 305 yards, 3 touchdowns on 18 carries in North Little Rock's 66-24 victory over Little Rock Catholic. Alex scored on runs of 13, 80, and 61 yards in that. He's coached by Jamie Mitchell, and North Little Rock keeps rolling. They remain undefeated going into the final week of the regular season at 9-0. Please give a big welcome to senior running back Alex Day from North Little Rock High School. Congratulations, Alex. Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the way. All right, our next honoree, game played on October 21st, also from Pulaski County, from Little Rock McClellan, senior running back Pierre Strong. He rushed for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns on 22 carries in McClellan's 42-14 victory of Little Rock Christian. McClellan's coach Maurice Moody having another great season. As you know, they went to the state championship game last year, shooting to get back there again. Gave Pulaski Academy all it could handle on Friday night before Pierre had an injury late in the ball game, but having another outstanding season. Please welcome Little Rock McClellan senior running back Pierre Strong. Congratulations, man. Sorry about that injury. And can I ask from both McClellan and North Little Rock, coaches that are here, parents and relatives, would you all stand for both of these honorees today so we can honor you? And good luck to both of those teams as the season goes on. We have as I said, a lot of people from Conway here today, especially want to welcome Tom Courtway, the president of University of Central Arkansas, members of his administration here today. In fact, this goes for UCA folks. We got business people and all. If you've come over from Conway today, would you please stand? All of you that have come over from Conway. Welcome. Yeah, we got a full table. Good to have all of you here. I have so many friends there, and I didn't want to start introducing. I know most everybody there, but I didn't want to start introducing one by one, or we would go a little bit too long. I guess now is the time I introduce myself, RJ, to do the weekly recap. So here with the weekly recap is Rex Nelson. Yep. All right. Time for the recap, brought to you by Simmons Bank. Arkansas defeats BYE on a late field goal over the weekend. So that's how we get you out started on a good mood. Let's start with UCA. What a great season the Bears are having. They go to 6-0 in conference, 7-1 overall, 45-10 on the road at Southeastern Louisiana. The Bears remain tied with Sam Houston State for first in the Southland Conference. Now, I know Coach is going to get mad because it's 1 week at a time, but if both keep winning, November 19th in Huntsville, Texas is going to be one of the biggest games of the year in all of FCS. But I know Coach is going to say, we got to get there first. It was scoreless after one quarter on Saturday, but the Bears outscored Southeastern 24-3 in the second quarter of that game. In fact, they just kept running people at them. The Bears had 7 running backs rush for 20 yards or more in that game, 7 of them. Meanwhile, the Bear defense, which is the top in the nation against the run, only allowed 78 yards rushing. Another great performance for the Bears, and I'll leave the rest for Coach to talk about. How about Arkansas State? You know, Coach Anderson was here a couple of weeks ago, RJ. You remember he got on me for picking against them the first 2 conference games. Of course, UCA had beaten them earlier, but and I know the UCA people wanted me to mention that, but you know, I did pick Arkansas State in the conference game this last time because Coach had challenged me to, and thank goodness. I mean, they just blow out Louisiana Monroe and Jonesboro 51-10. The Red Wolves had 434 yards and no turnovers in that game. And get this, that is now 12 consecutive conference victories for ASU. And I don't know if you realize that or not. 12 consecutive for ASU. Yeah, let's give them a hand. That's an impressive stat. The Red Wolves have defeated Louisiana Monroe 5 consecutive times. That's more than you can say for some other teams in the state. They've defeated Louisiana Monroe 5 consecutive times, sorry about that, by 2 touchdowns or more. ASU had 316 yards passing, 118 yards rushing. ULM falls to 2-6 overall, 1-3 in conference. Red Wolves scored 6 touchdowns on 8 first-half possessions, so it was over by halftime in Jonesboro. Now, over to the Great American Conference. You think we don't play good Division II football in Arkansas? The 6 Arkansas teams in the GAC all played Oklahoma teams. The 6 Oklahoma teams, Arkansas went 6-0 over the weekend against Oklahoma. Harding moved to 9-0, 42-27 in Searcy over 4-5 Southwestern Oklahoma. Bisons had a season-high 506 rushing yards. That's their 5th highest total ever, and they earned a share of their first conference championship since 1989. That was in the days of the old Arkansas Intercollegiate Conference. Harding led in time of possession. Get this stat, 40-55 to 1905. Harding can earn an outright title with a win at 4-5 Northwestern Oklahoma this week. That's if they can get there, RJ. You can't get to Alva, Oklahoma from here or anywhere else. Henderson, 7-2. Following a 67-21 victory over 2-7 Oklahoma Baptist. Reddy's passed for 594 yards, 1 shy of a conference record. Henderson had, and I'm not making this up, 785 yards of total offense in that football game. SAU is 7-2. They beat 5-4 Southeastern Oklahoma 38-24. Barrett Renner, their fine sophomore quarterback, just a sophomore, threw 5 touchdown passes in that. Mule Riders led 24-7 at halftime. Ouachita's 5-4, 41-14 over 1-8 Southern Nazarene. Ouachita led 27-0 at the half. They had 307 yards rushing. A true freshman by the name of Shuncy Thomas rushed for 149 yards that game and barely played in the second half. Almost all of that came in the first half. He's going to be a good one. Arkansas Tech's 5-4. Following a 41-35 victory over 4-5 Northwestern Oklahoma, Christian Thompson rushes for 145 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Wonder Boys. So, all 5 of the 6 Arkansas teams have winning records at this point in the conference. UAM getting close. UAM wins a second consecutive game to go to 4-5. That is more than their combined victory total for the 2 previous seasons. Weevils beat 1-8 East Central Oklahoma 42-21. Sophomore quarterback, another fine sophomore named Cole Sears, threw for 343 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game. In Division III, unfortunately, Jim, 3-5 Rhodes upset 6-2 Hendricks. Boy, this was a showdown. 55-54. Seth Peters for Hendricks was 23 of 34 passing for 359 yards. Dayton Wynn rushed for 284 on 34 carries for Hendricks. Now get this. Hendricks had 670 yards of offense. When's the last time you heard of a team losing after gaining 670 yards in a game? And in NAIA play, line falls to 3-6, a 52-14 loss to 7-1 Wayland Baptist. Now let's get to the SEC. This week's opponent in Fayetteville, Florida, moves to 6-1 overall, 4-1 in the conference, 24-10 over Georgia in what they call the world's largest outdoor cocktail party down in Jacksonville, Florida. Georgia really struggling. They fall to 4-4 overall. They're just 2-4 in the conference, and maybe wanting Mark Richt back at this point. Kirby Smart is 1-6 now as a player and coach in that series, in the cocktail party. Florida has won 4 of the past 5 and 21 of the past 27 against Georgia. That's becoming a very one-sided series. Georgia had just 164 yards of offense in the football game. Auburn, I know a lot of you watched this. It was a very entertaining game. They beat Ole Miss to go to 6-2 overall, 4-1 in the conference. That's the 5th consecutive win for Auburn. They're rolling now, and we thought Gus was on the hot seat at the first of the season, but 5 consecutive wins. Ole Miss, their season has really turned sour. They are now 3-5 overall. They're just 1-4 in the conference. Auburn had 554 yards of offense. Cameron Petway ran for 236 yards. Sean White passed for 247 yards. Ole Miss lost despite Chad Kelly throwing a school record 465 yards. That breaks Archie Manning's record of 436 yards set way back in 1969. Manning's record had stood until then. Kelly breaks it, but in a losing cause because they don't play any defense. South Carolina shocks Tennessee. Talk about somebody's season turning sour all of a sudden. 24-21. South Carolina's 4-4 overall, just 2-4 in the conference. You'll remember Tennessee had started 5-0, and it's now dropped 3 consecutive games. Texas A&M I can understand. Alabama I can understand. But South Carolina, so Will Muschamp goes to 5-0 against Tennessee. He was 4-0 against them when he was head coach at Florida. Joshua Dobbs threw for only 120 yards in that game. Missouri got that to look forward to because Missouri's really bad. They dropped to 2-6 overall, 0-4 in the conference, 35-21 to Kentucky, who, look at this now, Kentucky's 4-2 in the conference in football. Yeah, football. I didn't even know they played that sport there. 5-3 overall. Kentucky had 582 yards. That's the most for a Kentucky team in an SEC game since 2006 against Vanderbilt. Get this stat. Missouri has allowed 500 or more yards in 4 consecutive games. So Razorbacks ought to run up some yardage after Thanksgiving there, Scott, in that game. Texas A&M 7-1, non-conference game, 52-10 over 2-6 New Mexico State from the Sun Belt. Christian Kirk returned punts of 70 and 73 yards for TDs, became the first Aggie ever to return 2 punts for touchdowns in the same game. Mississippi State still struggling, 3-5. They had to really struggle to beat a good Sanford team, which is the only UCA loss this year. Sanford's now 6-2. That score was 56-41. Bulldogs had 669 yards of offense. All right, this week, primetime game on CBS Saturday night. Alabama at LSU. Who in here likes LSU to spring the upset? Anybody? Johnny, got you. Got a couple over there. All right. We've got Vanderbilt at Auburn, Georgia at Kentucky, Georgia Southern at Ole Miss in a non-conference game, Texas A&M at Mississippi State, Missouri at South Carolina, Tennessee Tech at Tennessee. And, of course, on CBS on Saturday afternoon, and SEC Networks coming in live that morning. It's Florida at Arkansas. How many of you like Arkansas to pull the upset over Florida? All right, pretty good group. We will see. There's not much other choice in the state this week. It's Mississippi Valley at UAPB, and I tried to run past that one. They lost 70-0 to Grambling on Saturday, but we've got Mississippi Valley State at UAPB and Fayetteville. The game there, 2:30 Saturday afternoon. Get out and see a college football game. Thanks, everybody. All right, as you know from having spoken here in the past, Coach Campbell, nobody can do an introduction like Jim Rasco. I mean, he will tell you who you played in elementary schools. He will tell you things about yourself that you don't even remember. So please join me in welcoming for our formal introduction, the historian of the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame and the Little Rock Touchdown Club, Jim Rasco, the pride of Hendricks College. Jim?
Thank you, Rex. As all of you know, Steve Campbell is in his third year as head coach at the University of Central Arkansas. And as Rex told you, last Saturday afternoon at Strawberry Stadium in Hammond, Louisiana, Coach Campbell's Bears beat Southeastern Louisiana 45-10. And the Bears remain unbeaten in conference action. Saturday's victory gave UCA its first ever 6-0 start in league play since joining the Southland Conference in 1993. Coach is a native of Florida. In addition to being a great football player in college, he was an outstanding student. The first article I found on Steve was from the Baton Rouge Advocate, dated October 23, 1985. It states that football centers did well in the classroom, with Steve Campbell of Southeastern Louisiana University having a 3.59 GPA in marketing. The next article states that Southeastern Louisiana center Steve Campbell was named to the Gulf South Conference Academic All-Star Team for 1985. The third article I found was dated in December of 1987, and it was the announcement of the Gulf South Conference All-League team. The first team center, Steve Campbell of Troy State, a 6'1", 235-pound senior from Cantonment, Florida. That's outside Pensacola. By the way, with Steve as the all-conference center, Troy won the NCAA Division II National Championship that year. Steve's coaching career started in 1988 as a graduate assistant at Auburn under head coach Pat Dye. While working as a graduate assistant, Steve earned his master's degree from Auburn University. In 1997, Campbell received his first head coaching position, taking over at Southwest Mississippi Community College. During his 2 seasons with the Bears, his teams went 12-8, including the school's first winning season in 12 seasons. Then to Delta State in 1999, compiling a 27-8 record over 3 seasons. This set a school record winning percentage of .771. His no-huddle offense shattered 12 Gulf South Conference records and 6 NCAA Division II records. In his second season, Delta State won the NCAA Division II National Championship. It was no surprise Coach Campbell was named National Coach of the Year by 3 different organizations. Steve then served as offensive line coach at Mississippi State in Jackie Sherrill's last season at State. In 2004, Coach Campbell started a 10-year run as a head coach at Mississippi Gulf Coast. This run included a perfect record of 12-0 in 2007, which resulted in a National Junior College Athletic Association National Championship and more National Coach of the Year awards. In 2008, he was the recipient of the National Football Foundation and College Football Hall of Fame's Distinguished American Award. Under his tenure, Gulf Coast was ranked in the National Junior College Football Poll for 115 straight weeks and finished the last 8 seasons in the nation's top 10. With that record, it's no surprise that in December of 2014, Steve was inducted in the National Junior College Athletic Association Hall of Fame. So here he is, UCA's Hall of Fame coach, Steve Campbell.
Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Well, thank you all. Well, it's great to be here today. What an honor to be here to be able to visit with you. It's great to see so many folks from Conway out today. I appreciate y'all coming. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our great president. I tell you, I got to UCA 3 years ago, and I have had a tremendous amount of support. It has been, it's impossible not to be successful whenever you've got the administration that we have. This year, unfortunately for us, we're losing a great president, a guy who has been a tremendous support for athletics, for academics, for the whole city of Conway and the whole community. Let's congratulate our president, Tom Courtway, on his retirement and tell him thank you for all that he's done. He has been tremendous. Yeah, thank you, President Courtway. You know, this season has been a really special year for us at UCA. But let me tell you where it all started. This season has been a season of guys stepping up and of guys showing a lot of toughness. You know, each year's its own year and has its own personality and develops as you go along. This year has really developed. I see David McCullum sitting over there. David's right over there. David will remember our first scrimmage. It was pretty bad. We had, you know, last year we had lost. I'd lost 5 senior offensive linemen, and you know you've only got 5 positions on the offensive line. I had four of them were starters, and then I had a 5th guy that rotated with another guy. So all 5 offensive linemen starters were graduating. So it wasn't real good. So I remember the first day of two-a-days with a good young group. Our starting center, the guy that was going to be our starting center, he tears his knee up. Well, oh my goodness, that's not good because he was one that I was counting on to step up and take some of the guys at that graduated spot. Well, now he's out. So I remember our first scrimmage was bad. It was, you know, we had a lot of fumbles, false starts, penalties. Couldn't throw and catch, couldn't do a whole lot of anything. And David comes to me and goes, "Coach, your execution's terrible. What are you going to do? What do you feel about your execution?" And I said, "David, right now I'm all for it." You know, that's where we were at. You know, that's where we were at as a football team at that point in time. But this group has really come a long way since that first scrimmage. You know, when you talk about this year's group, you know, this year you got to start with the defense. Our defense, as Rex was saying earlier, is our defense is really playing well. Those guys are playing outstanding. You know, he mentioned Samford. That was our one loss. Samford just had 669 against Mississippi State. To tell you, the Mississippi State's a good SEC football team. 1 year ago, they were ranked number 1 in the nation at all levels. Well, Samford goes and gains 669 yards on them just 2 days ago. Well, our defense held those guys to 250 yards. That's how good our defense is playing right now. Now, we outgained Samford. It was 590-something to 250-something, and wound up losing the football game, but we had doubled them in total yardage. But it was definitely not because of anything that our defense gave up. They have played tremendously well all year. And, you know, as I was saying earlier, this year has been a year about guys stepping up. Our defensive line has really played well. You know, a lot of guys stepping up. I'm looking at, you know, the Dan Hampton Award up there. You know, last year we had the Hampton Award winner was our defensive lineman, Jonathan Woodard, an outstanding football player. We also had another all-conference player in Derek Floyd. We've only got 4 defensive linemen that are on the field at one time. Well, one of them was a Hampton Award winner, and the other one was an all-conference player. So we lost 2 outstanding football players, one to the NFL draft and another to graduation. So we were really having to rebuild the defensive line and had a tremendous question mark there. Well, all that defensive line has gone on and done is right now they're ranked number 1 in the nation in rush defense and are in the top 5 in the country in tackles for loss. That's because a lot of guys have really stepped up and played tremendously well there. Terrence Partee is a outstanding nose guard, and you know, whenever you play defense, you know, I was always taught from Coach Dye and Coach Sherrill, the people that I grew up under, you build a football team kind of like you do a baseball team. You start with a catcher, a pitcher, and a center fielder in baseball. In football, you start with a nose guard, a middle linebacker, a free safety on defense. And, and Terrence Partee is an outstanding nose guard. Right now we're giving up, right at 60 yards a game rushing, and he's a big reason for that. Even after losing two outstanding players, he and Jordan Tolliver have really played well up there and have made it hard for teams to run the football on us. And now once they get one-dimensional, they can't run the football. It makes it easier for our defensive backs to get after them. We've got some outstanding defensive backs. Trey Smith from Birmingham, Alabama. He's a preseason first-team All-American. He's having an outstanding year. Tyler Williams out of Texas is having an outstanding year. Had an interception for a return for a touchdown this past week. So defense has really played well. A lot of guys have really stepped up to fill some holes. Offensive line-wise, I told you earlier, we were, we had a lot of holes to fill over there. We lost, 5 guys to graduation, and then we had some adversity. Like I said, the first day of two-a-days, the guy who was going to be our starting center got his knee torn up. He's out for the year. And then we're playing our first game of the year. Curtis Parker from right here went to North Little Rock, outstanding player. Curtis is a guy that had stepped up to fill one of those spots. Curtis broke his leg. So, geez, we're down 2 more guys. So now we're actually down 7 from what we were, just 1 year earlier. But those guys have really stepped up, and now we lead the league in rushing yardage and have given up 5 sacks on the year. So that's a lot of guys that have stepped up. We had big question marks at the running back spot. A year ago, we were very blessed. We had an outstanding running back, a guy named Blake Beasley. He had a couple of 200-yard games. He had a 290-yard game where he broke the school record. Well, of course, he graduated. Well, so we got question marks there. But we've had some guys step in and fill those spots tremendously. Freshman from Gosnell, Carlos Blackman, has played extremely well. Carlos is a true freshman, and first game of the year, we've got big question marks at running back. He goes for over 100 yards and has an outstanding game. Kelton Warren has had an outstanding year. A guy named Antoine Wells, I was hoping Mr. James was here. He's from Moss Point, Mississippi. Antoine Wells has had an outstanding year. Is a guy that came over from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College and has played tremendously well. So we've had a lot of guys step up at a lot of different positions, and this season has been about a lot of guys overcoming obstacles. This Antoine Wells is a young man that, I had him in junior college. There's a few guys that I've got to coach. When you're in JUCO, I was at Delta State for 3 years, so I really didn't get to coach anybody for 4 or 5 years because I left after 3. And then in JUCO, I was there for 10 years. You get them for 2 years, and then you send them on, so you don't get them for years 3 and 4. So really, right now, Antoine Wells is a guy that I had 2 years in JUCO. Well, then I brought him up here with me. I've been here 3 years, so Antoine's one of the only guys that I've had the opportunity to coach for 5 years. And he's got a pretty special story. He's a guy that out of junior college had a real good year there in Moss Point at East Central High School, but was not a highly recruited guy. We had one offer, and we offered him a scholarship there, and he came up and played, rotated in as a freshman, and then was having a great sophomore year for us in JUCO. Normally in junior college, you have a great sophomore year, you're going to get recruited. We had some great backs before. We'd had a guy named Dantrell Savage that was a great player. He was MVP of the Independence Bowl when Oklahoma State beat Alabama. He played for us in JUCO and then signed at Oklahoma State and had a great career, wound up going on and playing with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a good. We had a guy named Vic Ballard. A couple years after that, Vic went on and played in the Senior Bowl. Was a great player at Mississippi State. Led the SEC in touchdowns at Mississippi State. Went on and played with the Indianapolis Colts before hurting his knee. Had the Play of the Year, the one where he dove and spun, all that. That guy played running back for us. Anyway, Antoine was following in those guys' footsteps and having the same kind of year, having a great year. I mean, he was going to be a guy that was going to do those types of things. Anyway, week 6, he tears his knee up. I'm talking about ACL. I mean, you can't play with an ACL. I mean, that's the one where they got to go in and take a cadaver and all that type of stuff and tie it back together, and surely you're done. Well, he says, Coach, I'm not going to miss. I'm going to play. We had 4 more games left in the playoffs and all that. And I said, Antoine, because that's that's the ACL. That's not a meniscus or whatever. And he goes, yeah, Coach, but I can move on it. The hamstring was strong. The quad was strong, all that. And he said, well, they're going to have to fix it anyway, right? I mean, he said, I'm going to have full-blown surgery, and it's going to take 9 months a year for it to heal anyway. He said, how much more can I hurt it? And I go, Antoine, I'm not the doctor, but it sounds good to me. So anyway, we go to the doctor, and then he explains it just like that. The doc said, no, we got to go in and we got to fix that thing. This is one where you got, full repair of the knee. And he goes, well, how much more can I hurt it? And he goes, well, we'll have to full repair it if you. And he goes, well, we're already there. So they let him play on it. And anyway, he plays week 7, 8, 9, 10, first round of playoffs, state championship game, and then on a bad knee. And, and his numbers weren't what they would have been had he been 100% healthy, but he led us to the state championship game and to a top 5 national ranking. Well, it was at that point in time that I got the UCA job. Well, now a lot of the SEC teams that were that was on Antoine at that point in time, though they had fallen off. Oh, he's got to have ACL surgery. It'll be a year before he's even can go through spring training. So I got the UCA job. I said I know who I'm gonna get. And we went down and was able to get Antoine Wells, and he had his surgery. We let him rehab it for a year, and then last year he rotated in with. We had Blake Beasley, who was setting a school record, going for 290 yards, stuff like that, and we had some other guys, and he waited his turn, kept working, everything like that. This year, we signed a great freshman out of Gosnell, Carlos Blackman, and we had a really great group of backs, but nobody knew that. Nobody knew, just like, when Jonathan Woodard grabbed, nobody knew Partee, Tolliver, Hadnot, that group, what they had inside of them. When we lost those 5 offensive linemen, they didn't know about Micah Parton and Stockton Mallet and a lot of those guys. Well, nobody knew about Antoine, so we signed him and got him up here. Anyway, to make a long story shorter, I won't make it short. That's already that was probably 10 minutes ago. But anyway, to get to the point that I'm trying to make, we're playing Arkansas State, and it's a close ball game. They jump up on us, and we're struggling. Anyway, Trey Smith takes a punt. Trey was a guy that they're jumping on us pretty good. Trey catches the punt, takes it back to the house, and now we're back in the ball game. Antoine starts hitting it up in there, and we start getting some stuff going, running the football a little bit. And anyway, they're up 23-16. And we're struggling running the football, but it's hard going. It's tough sledding, but we are pounding it away, getting 3, getting 2, getting 4. 3rd and 2, we get, and they measure it and we get it. 3rd and 1. We bang it, and they measure it. No, thank you. Oh, we get it. Repeatedly. And we're hitting it up in there. Anyway, we get it down there with 5 minutes to go. It's 23-16. Got a chance to score, you can tie them up. We're not supposed to be here. I mean, they've been to bowl games. Well, they've won their Sun Belt Conference and have won 12 in a row, and they've won the Sun Belt Conference ever how many years in a row, and they've been to 5 bowl games in a row and all that. I mean, they're playing, they're anyway, we're down there, and we get 4th and 3 at the 3. 5 minutes to go. We can kick a field goal, make it 23-19, or you can go for it. All right. Well, I'm sitting there. Yes, go for it. I'm sitting there going, dadgummit, what do you do? Because our defense is playing really good. If we kick field goal, then all it will take is a touchdown to beat them, or you can try it right. But if you don't get it, now you still need a touchdown to time. So anyway, I turn around here and I'm going, dadgummit. And I turn around and Antoine Whale, Tweezy, Antoine, the guy who played the 6 weeks with the torn ACL and all that, he's got a tear coming down his eye. And he said, Coach, give me the ball. He said, I will score or die in the attempt. I said, we're going for it. And, you turn around and we ran a counter. We ran a little counter, gave him the football, and he popped it over that left edge, and that made it 23-22. And as fate would have it, to tell you a little bit about this, you think you tied it up right there. We ain't missed the extra point. Matt Cummins we've got one of the best kickers in all of college football. I'm talking about his first play out there his first play as a true freshman. He goes in and drills a 50-yarder against that same Samford team. So a big time kicker. Anyway, Matt pulled it a little bit on the extra point. It was a snap issue, hold, whatever. Anyway, we missed the extra point. We're down 23-22 after we had had that play that I can tell a story about 20 years from now from that guy who had the torn ACL. So anyway, but our guys, the thing with this group is they didn't flinch. They never flinched. Nobody said a word. The defense went out there, held them, did a tremendous job of getting us the ball back. Offense went down. Hayden Hildebrand, who is having an outstanding year for us at quarterback, Hayden bought himself some time in the pocket, hit Jatavius Wilson on a couple of big plays, hit Desmond Smith on a couple of big plays, and then scrambled and found a Conway native, Brandon Cox, an A-State transfer in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown with under a minute to go to win that football game. So that was to me, we wound up winning that football game 28-23, and A-State, they hadn't lost since, and they beat some good football teams. They beat Georgia Southern, who's a bowl caliber team. They beat Nappy State, who is a bowl caliber football. They beat some really, really good football teams. So very, very proud of our guys for how they've been playing, and more than anything else for the obstacles that they've been overcoming, and the guys stepping up. We've got this year we've got a lot of unknown guys that may not have had the notoriety or the whatever coming out of high school or of even at the preseason guy. We didn't we didn't have the most preseason guys all conference in the league by a long shot, but we've got a lot of guys that are playing really, really well, and they're playing really hard for each other, and that's what's been so much fun to watch. This group, that proves the old adage, in football, as Rex was giving out some of those numbers, those 600 and something yards and 700 and something yards of offense and all of that. I read an article the other day, and this football team is living proof of it, that, the article was the most important stat in football is still the most important stat in football was the title of the article. And, back in the day when I was playing and all that, the most important stat was turnover margin. And then, nowadays you get to, everybody talks about tempo and pass efficiency and touchdowns per possession and blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of stuff. But anyway, the article said that the most important deal is still the most important deal, and it started backing it up. Teams that are +1 in turnover ratio, if you gain one more turnover per game than the team that you're playing, the numbers were like, it was 87% you're going to win. And then if you're -1 turnover per game on the year, you're at 13%. So even after all of the hurry-up offenses, the tempo, the no-huddle, the blah, 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 it still gets down to protecting the football on offense and creating turnovers on defense. And that's been our story. Our guys right now, we're 7-1. The games where we've had one game where we lost the turnover battle. We lost it like 5-2. We outgained them 590 something to 250, and that was against Sanford. We wound up getting beat. So it still gets down to the turnover margin. So, that's something that our guys over the last couple of weeks have done a really good job of doing, is protecting the football. And that starts, the quarterback, Hayden Hildebrand's doing an outstanding job. The backs are doing a great job of protecting it, receivers, and so on down the line. Defense, again, our front four is pretty good now. Our defensive line, we've hired a new, I'll tell you this, our defensive line coach. We're starting practice on Monday. This is Friday. Our defensive line coach and special teams coordinator is Friday, and we got one more blue weekend. Saturday and Sunday, we got 6 o'clock in the morning. We meet on Monday to start practice. He had to resign for personal reasons. So we lost our defensive line and special teams coach, and we start practice on Monday. Well, anyway, we were able to. We hired a guy named Larry Hart. Larry played for us, was an All-American player at UCA back in the day, and then Larry went on to play with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He and Tony Davis have done a tremendous job of coaching our defensive linemen, and that is a story in itself. The job that Larry and Tony have done with those young guys and developing them, and and it helps having a guy that played there, that graduated from there, and had a lot of success from there, showing you the ropes. And the guys have really responded well to Larry and Tony coaching them, and have done an outstanding job. So our road now, we're 6-0 in the conference. We've got Stephen F. Austin coming up this week. Stephen F. is a very good football team. They're 4-4. One of those losses being to Texas Tech, who is a really good football team in the Big 12. Another one of those losses was to Sam Houston State, who was #1 in the nation at our level. So basically, they're the way I'm looking at them is they're 4-2. I don't count them two because those are tough games from the get-go. So we've got our work cut out for us this week, but our guys understand that they've got a chance to have a special year if we keep taking them one game at a time. We've got Stephen F. this week, and then we've got Nicholls State the next week. That's the same Nicholls State that should have beat Georgia in first game of the year. And then we've got Sam Houston State. So we've got a tough road in front of us, but it's a road that we're excited about and looking forward to playing. These guys have got a chance to do something special if we'll just keep taking it one game at a time. Thank you for allowing me to be here to visit with you, and look forward to seeing y'all at hopefully at a home game. We've got a home game here in 2 weeks against Nicholls State. It'll be senior night, and we would love to see y'all there. Any questions?
Time for questions if anybody's got one. Right over here. Yeah, I think that would be, that would be good. I'd love to play at North Dakota State. Two years ago, we went and played
we went and played Montana State, and who is very, very good. Montana State, the quarterback at the time was that Dakota Prukop. Any of y'all ever heard that name? He's the quarterback at Oregon right now. So, I mean, there's some great football in all different regions. And we love playing those cross-regional games. I think it's good for FCS football. We enjoyed the Arkansas State game was fun for us this year because the travel was great. The budgets were we didn't even have to spend a night in a hotel. It's 2 hours down the road. You can get over and get back. That was a lot of fun. I would love to, and there's some discussion about keeping that series going. We've already got a lot of the schedule. We got next year's Kansas State is a non-conference game. Kansas State and Murray State. The year after that, I think, is Tulsa, and then we've got Oklahoma State, back to Oklahoma State. Then Ole Miss is on then it's Hawaii and in 19 is Hawaii and Western Kentucky. They plan these things out. Our athletic director, Dr. Brad Teague, who is awesome, he plans these that I think we've already got until 2023 planned out. But I'd love to play North Dakota State. It doesn't do anything but generate interest, in college football at this level. Our kids love playing they love playing Arkansas State. They love playing Oklahoma State. Last year, Oklahoma State went to the Sugar Bowl, right? Well, it's 16-8 in the fourth quarter. It is 16-8, and we feel like if we move the football a little bit, we got a chance to beat them guys. Texas Tech 2 years ago, they had a good football team. We were leading them late in the third. They wound up beating us 42-35. Our guys get fired up for those big games. We enjoy playing because I tell our guys right now, it's like I was telling y'all that story about Vic Ballard and Dantrell Savage. Those are Vic led the SEC in touchdowns that year. As a kid, I had Dantrell. I love Dantrell Savage. He was one of the best players I ever had. He was MVP of the Independence Bowl against Alabama. I rushed for 200 against Oklahoma and Nebraska. Well, then Antoine Wells, who is a great little player. Guys, you're the same. There's no difference. There's no difference in players between, Terrence Cody. I had Mount Cody, and when I was in JUCO, went on to Alabama and blocked him 2 field goals to beat Tennessee, and then went on and played with the Ravens, won a Super Bowl. Well, I tell you what, and John Jenkins, who starts for the Saints right now at nose, I tell you what, that daggum Terrence Partee's playing pretty good right now. We got a nose guard right now that I like a lot, that I would put in the category with. So we like playing those guys. That's a lot of fun. I wish we could play a schedule that with a lot of those guys. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that going back to that first question, I had Coach Dye a lot earlier in my career. I had Coach Dye in 88 and 89. I was fresh out of school, and I'm sure at that point in time, Coach Bryant had just retired in 82. So this was only 6 to 7 years after Coach. So Coach Dye would refer back a lot to Coach Bryant. And then when I had Coach Sherrill 20 years later, it was a little more removed. He would definitely refer back to Coach Bryant, but Coach Dye, and that being in the same state, and a guy named Neil Callaway, who was the offensive line coach at Southern Cal. That was a guy that I worked directly under. Pat Sullivan, who was our quarterback coach, who had played for Coach Jordan, Shug Jordan. There was a lot of those guys on staff. Wayne Hall was a defense coordinator. He had played for Coach Bryant. There was a lot of Bear Bryant people on staff, Bear Bryant, Shug Jordan people on staff. So they were always referring back to Coach Bryant and Coach Jordan. By the 20 years later, a lot of the guys had gotten out and retired and moved on. So, but Coach Sherrill would still refer back, and you could tell, Coach Sherrill he loved running the football. So you could still see that influence, and he loved great defense with his Joe Lee Dunn's defense and all of that. So a lot of those same core values were still there. And then the other question about the budgets, playing the money games, you've got to it definitely does help. It helps with your budget to play those money games.
Anything else? Take this last
Okay,
one.
Coach. Coach, we don't see it that much. I think we've seen it once this year, where you look and you go, whenever you play in tempo and a guy goes down, is that what you're talking about? He acts like he's hurt because we've seen it once this year, but it's not as bad as what I thought it was going to be a couple of years ago. Are y'all seeing it a lot? And some. Yeah. We've seen that once this year, and we hadn't seen it as much as what I thought I was going to. Well, great to see y'all, and look forward to seeing y'all in Conway.
All right, like to invite our Conway contingent. If you'd like to have your photo and join our 50-yard line members with Coach, come on up and line up. We'll get your photo with him. We'll see you next week. Remember, Jimmy Walker, Ron Calcagney. Thanks, everybody. RJ, thanks for sitting up here, man.
Thank you.
Good deal.
It's a lot more awkward than the battle there because they've got the camera tilted a little bit more to the left.
Yeah.
So
You're on camera, though.
Whenever you're sitting up there, I've had 10 people send me a text of my facial expressions throughout the meeting, and I'm like, son of a...
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.